Alright, Chapter 11 Procedures for Non Destructive Testing. Welding pipelines and related facilities pipeline segment API standard 1104. Alright, Chapter 11 Procedures for non-destructive testing, radiographic test method general. Section 11.1 presents the requirements for producing radiographic images, films, other media use of the X-rays or gamma rays. Detailed procedure for the production of images established recorded radiographic film used, produced, and used in procedure will have the density and clarity of the contrast required for the standard images produced. Other systems having the requisite sensitivity, defined clarity, essential hole, wire diameter, a proper pentameter. Following the criteria should be evaluation images used in the evaluating images. Accept the image qualifying with a free from fog and from processing irregularities. Cold mask for the image, actual imperfections. Prescribed pentameter, essential hole and wire diameter, satisfactory identification system, acceptable technique and setup, compatibility with acceptable standard. All requirements of that refer to the quality of resulting images shall apply equally to X-ray and gamma rays. The use of radiographic inspection frequencies as used shall be optional. The company radiographic contractor should agree with the radiographic procedure. The procedures used prior to performance pre-production radiographic company shall require the contractor to demonstrate the proposed procedures acceptable images should require that the contractor use procedure production radiographing. 11.1.2 Details of procedures general. The details of the radiographic procedure shall be recorded. A copy of the record should be furnished for the company for its record. For the record may be in form of a writing, sketch, or both. A minimum each procedure shall include acceptable details. 11.1.2.2 and 11.1.2.3. Your film radiographic. A minimum procedure film radiographing include the following details: radiation source, type of radiation size, of the effective source of focal points, voltage rating of the X-ray equipment, intensifying screens, the type of the placement over the screen with the lead used to be thickness, film brand, type of the bowl, the number of the frames of whole cassettes for multiple film techniques, the way in the film is to be specified. Exposure geometry, whether single wall exposure with a single wall viewing or double wall exposure with a single wall viewing, double wall exposure, double wall viewing, the distance from the source of the focal spot of the film and the relative position of the fillet weld and source of the pentameters and terminal full reference markers, number of the exposures required for the radiographing complete weld, exposure conditions with a milliampere curie of the minutes of the X-ray voltage, input voltage amperes, and exposure time, processing with automatic manual time and the temperature development time of the stop of the bath, the rinsing, finishing, washing, drying details. Materials, type of thickness ranging from material from which procedure is suitable, pentameters, the hole, the type of the pentameters, type of the material identification number, essential hole, shim material, thickness for wire pentameters, the type of the material identified by the ASTM set letter, essential wire diameter, heat shields, material thickness, distance from the film side of the heat shield with the pipe source. Alright, 11.1.2.3. Other imaging media, minimum procedure radiographing of the imaging media other than film shall include the following details: radiation source, type of the radiation source, type of the effective source of the focal point, voltage rating of the X-ray equipment, the image collection system used, the image processing system used, the image viewing system used, the image storing system used, the exposure geometry with a single and double wall viewing. With motion, still imaging, scanning speed for the motion, imaging the distance of the source of the focal spot, emerging surface, the relative position of the image source, the weld source, pentameter for the intervals, reference point, markers, amount of geometric magnification, total magnification used in view of the number of the images required for the radiographing of a complete weld, exposure conditions, milliampere, the curie of the minutes of the X-ray voltage, input voltage, amperage, where applicable, the exposure time, materials, type of the thickness range of the material from which procedure is suitable, pentameters, hole, type of the pentameter, the type of the material, identifying with the number of the essential hole, and the shim material thickness for wire type of the parameters, the type of the material, identifying ASTM, set letter, essential wire diameter, heat shields, material thickness and the distance from the imaging side of the heat shield of the pipe surface. 11.1.3 Exposure geometry. 11.1.3.1 Film radiographing. Radiographic source center of the pipe with exposing the butt weld. The one exposure adequate. The radiographic inspection complete with a single and wall views radiographic source of the outside with not more than 1/2 inch from the weld surface. At least 3 exposures separated 120 degrees shall be made with a radiographic inspection of the complete weld, double wall and single wall with a radiographic source of the outside more than 1/2 inch from weld surface. At least 4 exposures separated with 90 degrees shall be made with a radiographic inspection complete with a double wall and single wall viewing. For outside diameter piping container with a 3.5 tenths of an inch or less, a double wall and viewing, double wall exposure and viewing procedure may be used. The procedure is used with the radiator beam and offset with the source side with the film side portion of the weld, not overlap the areas of radiographing being evaluated. At least 2 exposures separated with 90 degrees should be made with a radiographic inspection with a complete weld with the source side with the film side portion weld may be superimposed. At least 3 exposures separated. 60 degrees should be made with a radiographic inspection completion. Smaller diameter, thicker pipe size, radiographing additional exposure shall be made. The minimum of the distortion imperfection images ended with a radiograph. The minimum distance between the source of the spot and the source side of the object being radiographed shall be determined by the following using constant units of measurement. D is the minimum distance in inches between the source of the focal point and source side of the object being radiographed equals size in inches of the effective source of the focal spot times the thickness of the weld in inches by reinforcement plus the distance of the film side of the weld and the film divided by K, the geometric unsharpness factor. When T is determined in the single wall exposure and viewing, the double wall exposure and viewing, and double wall single wall viewing procedure thickness single wall and weld reinforcement should be used. The T determines the double wall exposure and double wall viewing procedures outside diameter of the weld. This is the outside diameter of the pipe plus the average height of the weld crown should be used. Normally K is 0.02 of an inch. Material thickness or less equal to 2 inches. The final acceptance of the exposure geometry shall be baseability with the prescribed parameter and the essential hole of the wire. Other imaging media. Final acceptance of the exposure geometry shall be based on the ability to prescribe parameter image of the essential hole wire diameter and the motion and imaging exposure geometry shall be evaluated with a maximum scanning speed used during the radiographic inspection of the completed weld. 114. Pentameters shall conform to the requirements of either ASTME E1025 figure 21 of the hole type parameters or ASTM E747 type of the parameters. The company shall determine the set of the requirements to be used. The parameters should be made of this material radiographic similar to the materials being welded. 1115 selection pentameters, hole type parameters. Maximum thickness of the hole type parameters may be used based on the thickness of the pipe wall of the weld identified with the numbers shown in Table 5 of the ASTME E1025 pentameters, Table 6, Figure 21. Pentameters choose the parameters based on wall thickness, shape of the material radiographic similar to that of the pipe with equivalent thickness for the average weld of the build-up placed on the pentameter. If the choice of the pentameter is based on pipe wall thickness, shims need not to be used. The radiographic contracting opinion option pentameter thinner than those specified above may be used to provide required radiographic sensitivity obtained. Alright, radiographic image of the hole type of the parameters outlined with identified with the numbers essential hole with the appearly clear, the essential hole with the ASTME E1025 figure 21 pentameter to 27 hole, figure 21 parameters has 27 in hole needed not less than 16th of an inch in diameter. 11152 wire type parameters essential wire diameter to be used the base for the thickness for the weld shown figure ASTME table 7 the ASTME 747 wire parameter the radiographic contractor's opinion. Contractor's options, small wire diameter parameters than those specified above may be used to provide with the required radiographic sensitivity obtained. Table 5 shows you thickness pipe versus the ASTME E1025 pentameter. Table thickness pipe versus pentameter. Weld thickness, maximum pentameter thickness is in inches and identifying number. And then it shows figure 21 standard pentameter. Table 7, thickness pipe versus ASTME E747 pentameter. Radiographic images with the wire-type pentameters identify the whole style of the number of the ASTM set layer would appear clearly with the image. The central wire diameter shall appear crossly over the entire area of the interest. The placement with the pentameter, except as provided in item C, with the pentameter shall be placed in contact with the piping hole-type parameters, complete with the radiographed and single exposure with the using source of the inside of the pipe. At least 4 pentameters placed within the weld, spaced approximately equally around the circumference to be used with a double wall exposure, double wall viewing procedure. 1 pentameter shall be placed on the source side of the pipe and adjacent to the weld with the image superimposed onto the weld for image of the double wall exposure, single wall viewing and single wall exposure, single wall viewing. The procedure requirement multiple exposure complete inspection of the weld, whether the length of the weld, length of the film interpreted with the 5 inches, 2 parameters placed parallel to the weld located with the film side should be used. One shall be within 1 inch of the end of the film length of the interpreted. Other shall be the center of the film. The film length interpreted to 5 inches or less. The pentameter based on the film side parallel to the weld located with the center of the length interpreted. When the repaired over the radiograph, at least 1 pentameter shall be placed adjacent to each prepared area. Wire type parameters are the number, location, wire type parameters shall be made same described as the whole type parameters, except the wire shall be placed across the weld perpendicular to the weld length. Heat shield pentameters may be placed on a heat shield rather than in contact with a pipe, provided that the acceptable of the pentameter placement is demonstrated prior to the production testing. Alright, 11.16, other imaging media. For imaging media of the film with the pentameter placement of the shall be in the same required with 11.161. Pentameters may be placed above the surface of the pipe in a held position between the surface of the pipe and imager by a fixture attached to the imager scanning device. Acceptability such pentameters placement should be qualified prior to the production radiographing using pentameters you placed in contact with the pipe simultaneously with the adjacent to those of the position by a fixture above the surface of the pipe. Production radiographing. Only level 2 and level 3 radiographs shall be interpret the radiographic image of the production welds. The radiograph shall be report to the company all the defects observed with the image of the company require the imperfections of to be reported. Radiograph shall indicate whether the weld meets the requirements of section 9. This company shall determine the final deposition of the weld. 11.18 Identification images. Images shall be clearly identified with the use of the letter number, lead letters, marks, and other indications so that they are properly welded. Imperfections can be quickly, accurately located. The company will specify the identification procedures wherever the more than other images that inspect the weld. Identification markings shall appear on each image. Adjacent images shall overlap with the last reference marker. Each of the image shall appear on the appropriate adjacent images in the way that establishes no part of the weld have been filled. 11.19 Storage of film and other imaging media. All unexposed film shall be stored clean, dry, placed with the condition with the detrimental effect of the emulsion. Any of the commission in question arrived with the condition of the unexposed film skin sheath in front of the back of each package. Length of the film equal to circumference of the original roll shall be processed in the normal manner with the exposure to light and radiation. Processed film shall fog with the entire box of the roll in which the test film was removed shall be discarded unless additional tests prove that the remaining film of the box of the roll is free from exposure fog exceeding 0.30 HND transmitted density. The transmitted parent base film or 0.5 HD reflected density opaque base film. No, HD refers to Hutter drill field method of defining quantitative blackening of film. Alright, 11.192 Other imaging media. Imaging media other than film should be stored in strict accordance with manufacturer recommendation. 11.110.1 Film density. Exposure to small localized area with the regular method with the transmit with the HND density area with interest. The transparent base film shall not be less than 1.8 nor greater than 4.0. Reflected HD density opaque base shall not be less than 0.5 nor greater than 1.5. Transmitted H&D density through a small localized area will exceed these limits. However, the minimum density should not be less than 1.5. Maximum density should not exceed 4.2. Reflected HD density should not be less than 0.25 and shall not exceed 1.8. Alright, 11.122 11.110.2 Field film viewing equipment. Viewing equipment illuminators shall be variable high intensity type, the capable of viewing film density with a range of 11.110.1. Shall be equipped to prevent light coming from around the edge of the radiograph and through the low density of the radiograph and interfering with the interpretations. 11.110.3 Film viewing facility. Film viewing facility shall be provided with a subdued background light intensity that has not caused trouble, reflection, shadows, glare on the radiograph. 11.111 Image processing. Requested company film with the other images shall be processed, handled, stored with the images and interpreted will last 3 years they are produced. 11.112 The images produced processing area. Image processing area. All access shall be all accessories shall be kept clean. 11.113 Radiation protection. Radiograph shall be responsible for the protection monitoring of every person working with near the radiation source of the protection monitoring shall comply with applicable federal, state, and local regulations. R11.2 Magnetic particle testing method. The magnetic particle testing specified by the company the detailed written procedure. Magnetic particle testing established meet with the requirements of ASTM E709. The company non-destructive testing contractor shall agree with the magnetic particle testing procedures prior to the performance of the production test. The company shall require the contractor to demonstrate that the proposed procedures will produce acceptable results and shall require the contractor to such procedures for production testing. 11.3 Liquid penetration test method. Liquid penetration testing is specified by the company's detailed written procedure. Liquid penetration testing shall be established and meet the requirements of ASTM E165. Company non-destructive testing contractors should agree with the liquid penetration testing procedures prior to the performing production testing. Company shall require the contractor to demonstrate that the proposed procedures will produce acceptable results and shall require the contractor such procedures for production testing. Art 11.4 Ultrasonic test methods. General ultrasonic test methods specified with the company inspection new and insert the circumferential butt welds. The requirements of the section shall apply with a detailed procedure for the use of the individual ultrasonic test shall be established and recorded. The use of ultrasonic testing scoping and shall be the option of the company. The company shall and the ultrasonic contractor shall agree with the ultrasonic procedure for the performance of the producing production testing. Company shall require the ultrasonic contractor to demonstrate the proposed procedure to produce the acceptable accelerated result. Should require that the contractor to do such procedure for the production testing. Caution is advised of the method of applied in-service weld inspection due to potential parent material or surface inspection imperfections that can interfere with the use of ultrasonic techniques. All surfaces to be ultrasonic tested sonically scanned shall be uncoated condition. The new constructed projects cutting back bare pipe length and pipe ends necessary for the ultrasonic testing should be specified prior to the pipe being coated. Pipe seam should be ground flush with the pipe surface for the distance nearest necessary to ultrasonic scanning. R11.4.2 Details of procedure. General. The detailed ultrasonic procedures recorded with a copy of the record shall be furnished with the company of the record. The record shall be in form of both writing and a sketch of the minimum each of the procedures shall include the applicable details. 11.4.2.2 11.4.2.2 Ultrasonic procedure. Minimum procedure for the ultrasonic testing well should include the following specific application details. Type of the welds to be tested, joint preparation, dimension, welding process, material type, scanning surface of the preparation condition, a stage of which the examination is to be performed, ultrasonic instrumentation system, probes, automatic or manual couplet and test techniques, angles, frequencies, temperature ranges, scanning patterns, speeds, reference datum, location markers, reference standards, details shown plain view, cross-sectional view, dimensional production material, reference standard, black and reference reflectors, calibration requirements, interval with the calibration with the instrument system is required with the sequence of the calibration prior to the inspection of the welds, and it still includes all standard calibration blocks to be used with the reference sensitivity of the reflector to be used with the reference sensitivity level setting, and the intervals verification calibration setting, scanning of the level of sensitivity setting and the decibels to be added to the reference sensitivity, scanning elevation level, the level and the height of the echoes detected during the scanning. Further elevation is required. Any sensitivity adjustments to be made with the elevation and acceptance of the rejection. Recording the result, type of the record, sketch, thermal, printer, compact disc, etc. Whether all the reflectors only unacceptable reflectors will be recorded. Ultrasonic examination reports of examination report. Example of examination reports. The ultrasonic testing personnel requirements. The NT non-destructive test level 3 ultrasonic testing method shall develop application technique, prepare and improve the testing procedure. Only level 2 and 3 certified personnel shall calibrate the equipment and interpret the test result of the non-destructive test level 2 and 3. Personnel and ultrasonic shall perform the test and evaluate the result of the acceptance to rejection criteria. The ultrasonic personnel shall perform examination in accordance with qualified approved procedures. C1144. Personnel responsible for testing shall be capable of determining acceptable circumferential butt welds in accordance with the acceptance criteria listed in 9.6 of the company have the right any time to require the person to demonstrate the capability to perform the requirements of the qualified procedure. 11.4.4 Qualification of the testing procedure. Prior to the final written approval, the company shall require the contract to demonstrate the application for the procedure for the ultrasonic test system. The procedure qualification report shall be generated with the result of the documentation prior to the actual fillet weld qualification process as follows. Welds minimum of 2 per weld. Procedure containing defects with acceptable imperfections shall be performed from actual production pipe material samples utilized with the approval of the welding procedure specification. Welder qualification welds to be used. The radiograph shall be made of welds and result of the documented for the ultrasonic testing procedure shall be applied with a detailed temperature range for the welds and result of the documented with the compared with the radiograph. The difference of the detection results will be documented. The difference of the detectability resolution of between the ultrasonic radiograph may be noted. If required by the company, non-destructive testing of the weld sample shall be made with the discovery to confirm the results. Using an ultrasonic testing procedure for the production welding shall be based on the capability to implement with the ultrasonic testing method, technique, and system. 1. The circumferential location. 2. The size of the length. 3. The depth of the outside diameter surface. 4. The axle weld cross section located. Required imperfection defects of the test sample. In addition, the procedures must accurately determine acceptable welds in accordance with the criteria 9.6, 11, and 11.4.7. Alright, 11.4.5 API sensitivity reference standard. Manual ultrasonic testing sensitivity shall have 2 to 3 point reference level. This is an amplitude correction time corrected gain derived from the number 9 N10 notch introduced sample of the pipe inspected. See figures 22 and 22A and 22B. The highest point of the distance amplitude correction and the time corrected gain shall not be less than 80% of the full strength full screen length height. The reference standard shall also be determined by the actual sound of the beam of the velocity of the refracted angle, the sound path, the distance of the pipe material to be inspected. Unknown velocity of the refracted angle shall be determined when the weld of the pipe and the different chemistries of the specifications. Wall thickness, diameter, and to and from more than one pipe rolling and piercing manufacturing are to be inspected. The manual accomplished for the use of the two probes, some of the same nominal angle of the frequency of the probe is directed toward one another. See figure 22C. When the difference is noted, velocity, angle of the sound path, the distance, and other reference standards shall be moved with a different pipe material. Automatic ultrasonic testing when required by the company of the manual ultrasonic testing flat bottom hole shall be machined with a sample of the pipe to be inspected with a sample shall be used with the calibration reflectors addition with the N10 notches from inside and outside surface. The diameter each of the flat bottom hole shall be approximately equal to the thickness for the welding fill. The flat reflecting surface of each of the holes shall be installed by a same angle position welding joint prior to each of the fill pass required with the welding procedure. Additional planar reflectors flat bottom holes shall be install the weld center line position within the flat reflecting surface vertical to the weld. Reflectors should be spaced apart so that no two will be within the beam spread with one probe spine probes simultaneously. For testing other than new construction pipe, the sample of the same grade of the wall thickness outside diameter of the pipe to be inspected should be with the reference standard of the red transfer technique. Use the probe the same nominal angles and the frequency to view the inspection shall be carried out. Determine the actual full skip distance and refracted angle attenuation to the material to be inspected. 11.4.6 Parent material ultrasonic testing after completion of the circumferential butt weld prior to the inspection testing of the compression wave test for the parent material both side of the weld. Minimum distance of 1.25 long and surface skip distance used shall be performed. All interfering parallel full beam reflectors shall be noted. Datum location distance from the weld and record with the examination record. 11.4.7 Scanning evaluation level. 11.4.7.1 Parent material ultrasonic testing. Manual compression of the testing parent metal shall be performed in the second back wall echo from the reference standard with adjustment at least 80% of the full screen height. Automated ultrasonic testing parent material shall be performed in the same calibration method. The evaluation level shall be used with the compression wave with a different technique with the demonstrating to be equal better than manual method. 11472 manual ultrasonic weld testing. Manual ultrasonic weld testing shall be performed in screen sensitive with the DAC and direction of correction and time control gain. Reference sensitive between plus 6 decibels. Also indication 50% of the direction of correction and time control gain. Screen height shall be evaluated. Reference block 22 manual on ultrasonic testing. Alright, figure 2B shows establishing the distance between refracted angle and velocity, and 22 says transfer procedure. Alright, evaluation sensitivity of the manual ultrasonic welding testing of the distance of an actual correction and time control gain. Reference sensitivity plus 6 degrees, 6 decibels, evaluation level to indicate 50% of the direction of the correction and time control gain. Screen height. After the reference sensitivity scan, sensitivity evaluation sensitivity levels have been established, they shall be qualified and incorporated with the final procedure from the final qualification report. 11473 automated ultrasonic weld testing. Automated ultrasonic weld testing should be performed in scan sensitivity 80% of the scanning height. Reference sensitivity plus 4 degrees, 4 decibels. When using the pulse echo technique, evaluating sensitivity should be the same scanning material sensitivity. Evaluation elevation of the level screen required threshold should be 40% of the full screen height using automated pulse echo technique. Other automated techniques reference reflectors, reference sensitivity scanning sensitivity evaluation levels may be demonstrated to be equivalent of pulse echo technique for the detection, evaluation, weld imperfections. 1148 production ultrasonic testing. Ultrasonic technicians shall report that the company all the defects in life of the company requires all observed evaluation level and above the indications to be reported. The company shall determine the final disposition of the weld. 1149 identification of reported indication ultrasonic testing report inspection weld shall include the weld number, datum, location, length, the depth from outside diameter for the depth of the effect, classification, linear, transverse of all metric of all reported indications. Chapter 12 automatic welding with filler additions.